This is my Mamaw. Her name is Annie Deaver. And Mamaw, could you tell me the story about when you were in the 3 R's contest?
Okay, we used to have in high school when I was going to school, about 1929, of the contest in the Interscholastic League meet. It was called the 3R contest, reading, writing, and arithmetic. And we had to have a test on it to see.
Yes, started with
Contest, the 3R contest.
When I was in high school, we had a contest, taking a test for the reading, writing, and arithmetic in the county Interscholastic League meet for all the high schools in San Saba County. And we took the contest, and I won first place at county meet, and I got a gold medal for it. And then I was supposed to go to Brownwood to the district meet, and Brownwood, Texas, to the district meet, and I won first place at Brownwood at the district meet. So then I was supposed to go to Austin to the state meet, and the night before the meet took place, I was supposed to go with our county superintendent because I didn't have a way to go. And he got sick about 4 o'clock that night when I spent the night with him and couldn't take me. And so I missed going to Austin to the meet there. So I got two gold medals, one at the County Interscholastic League meet and one at the Brownwood Interscholastic League meet. Is that all? Because I was playing baseball in high school, and I was back catcher, and we were playing mixed teams, and there's an old boy playing on the opposite team from me, and he come running in to get a home run, and I got the ball and put the ball on him, and he hit me and knocked me down. Yeah. That's about all I remember.
We moved there when I was in first grade,
Yeah.
but I'm telling you,
I'm
we
going
did
to tell
not.
them that we're all here because it's your picture.
Okay, I'm ready.
Okay.
I can't hear what you're saying.
You have to talk loud for Mamaw.
I'm going to tell them that we're all here because it's your 85th birthday.
What is she saying, Jolene?
She's going to tell on the video that we're here to celebrate your 85th birthday.
Oh, okay.
You have to talk loud.
Grandma
can't hear very well.
This kid hardly hear with one ear.
Like your mother.
This is my, we're all here because this is my Mamaw's 85th birthday.
Okay.
My Mamaw has 4 children, and their names are Aunt Jimmy, Grandma, Uncle Roy David, and Aunt Bonnie. Aunt Bonnie, Roy David.
If I hold a pillow in front of her.
Uncle Roy David.
Mom says she'll tell one now.
This is Aunt Jimmy. And that's Grandma.
Hold on. In the car for a second.
Grandma, tell the story when you fell out of the pecan tree.
Okay. When I was about 8 years old, we went to pick up pecans. My sister Jimmy and my 2 cousins. And we walked a long, long way, probably about 2 miles to pick up pecans. And so we get down by this creek, and I climbed up in a pecan tree. And I'm like kicking the limb, shaking those pecans out of that tree. and my foot slipped off the limb, and down I went. And it knocked the breath completely out of me. I'm laying there, out, and my cousin got this dirty old can and filled it up with the creek water and dumped it all over my head, and it was cold. And I woke up, and my sister Jimmy, she carried me on her back all the way home. And I'm begging and begging, please don't tell Mother, please don't tell Mom. And I'm not getting in trouble. So,
And
anyway,
I told.
and she did. She told on me. And my mom set up with your Mamaw. She set up with me all night long to make sure I was okay.
Hold on. Tell a story.
About Mamaw?
It doesn't matter.
Okay, I'll tell you one about Mamaw. I have a lot, but I remember I always used to love to go to Mamaw's house. We'd go there and spend the night on the weekend when we weren't in school. And we used to love to go there because we could play outside. And
Eat lots of
Mamaw always
goodies.
had the best cookies. And
Yeah.
She had those peanut butter cookies and
Good
good cereal. We just didn't have that kind.
And she had trees
And
to build a house in.
She also I would get up real early every morning with her, and we would get coffee. She would give me coffee when I was a little kid, about like your age. And I would get up real early, same time Mamaw did. I always thought it was really good. I always got to sleep with her because I was the oldest.
Yeah.
Right.
About my mom.
Oh yes, the first day that Jolene ever went to school, your mother, she came back home and she told her mother, she said, Mom, our teacher don't know very much. She asked us all the questions.
This is my Aunt Bonnie's daughter, Mitzi. Could you tell a story?
Sure. I've got a story about your mom and her sisters and your grandpa and your Uncle Roy David and my dad. And we were out one Christmas. We decided it was Christmas. We were going to go look for Santa Claus. It was Christmas Eve. We were going to go look for lights. And so we were all set out, got out in the car. We got in the car. My dad was the only one back then who'd take us. He's the only one who'd put up with us. None of the rest of them wanted to go with us. And so he was in the front seat. We were all singing. And we were singing Christmas songs. And we were looking for Santa Claus. And we were looking at the lights. And we were out for a long time. Never did find Santa. And then we thought we did though. We thought we saw him up on the roof, but we weren't sure. So we started back home, and Dad said, hey, look, there's y'all's dad and Uncle Roy David. There's Uncle James and, well, he didn't say Uncle James. He said James. That's your grandpa. He said, there's James and Roy David. You want to play a trick on them? And boy, we thought that was great. Yeah, let's play a trick on them. Okay. Well, they had stopped at the 7-Eleven. They went in to get something in the 7-Eleven. So Dad pulled his car. Now, Dad was a deputy sheriff. Well, actually, he was a lieutenant sheriff back then. So he had a car that had the lights, but they were hidden underneath the dashboard. You couldn't see them on top of the car. And so we kind of snuck up behind them where they couldn't see us. And we saw them come out and get back in their car. And he said, okay, now y'all get down. Everybody get down. So we all snuck down in the car like this. And we're waiting. And it was dark, and we had a gray car, so you couldn't really tell what color the car was at night with the lights on and everything. So Uncle James and Uncle Roy David took off and started back home. And they're going home, and all of a sudden Dad pulls out behind them, follows them a little ways, and they don't know who it is because all they can see is the headlights, and it's dark. And so he turns on those lights. Woo, 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 woo. And they pulled over to the side, and they told us later they didn't know what they'd done wrong. I think it was Uncle James driving, wasn't it? Wasn't it James driving? And he said, I didn't know what I was doing. I didn't speed. I hadn't done anything. And they pulled over, and Dad pulls out around them. He stops behind them for a little bit, then he pulls out around them, and when he pulls out around, we all jumped out and went, yeah! And then he was like, oh my goodness, thank goodness it's just them. But we had him scared for a little bit there. We thought
Went in the hospital to have Sandy, your aunt Sandy. I had Jimmy helped me.
But that was real fun.
Oh, y'all, there was only two of us.
And Missy. And there was your mom and Lisa and Missy.
The three angels.
And most of the time I had a terrible time keeping up with it because I was scared to death they were going to get hurt. And so I would try to watch them 24 hours a day, and that was impossible. So one day they were playing out in the backyard, and I thought everything was safe. And I was washing dishes, and at the window I could hear all this loud noise going on out there. And so finally I put the dishes down. I went outside to see what they were doing. They had piled all their toys up to where they could climb up to the dartboard and get the darts down. And we're sitting there throwing darts with all of them standing around where they could just finish.
And those darts had the metal points on them.
And it scared me to death. I just think, Lord, that we did not have an accident in the backyard.
Will she dry out?
And that was just one of the many. That was just one of the many.
At Mamaw's house, and we put them in Mitzi and Jolie and your mom in the bed together, the crib together. And Mitzi, your cousin, didn't know how to. She had never cried before. Really, she was about 2 months old or something. And Jolene cried all the time. Your mom cried all the time. And so she started crying, and your cousin Mitzi looked over at her and thought, what in the world is that noise? And so she started crying too. That's the first time we'd ever heard her cry.
This is my Aunt Sandy. Aunt Sandy, can you tell a few stories?
Okay. I'm Allie, Mommy's younger sister, of course. And when we were younger, Jolene was always the one getting into trouble. I was never in trouble. It was always Jolene that I was taken up for. And one day, our Aunt Bonnie took us to Zilker Park to go play. We had a picnic, and we were playing Follow the Leader. And your mom was the leader. And this is how much trouble we got into. We were going all through all the playground equipment, and our aunt just thought we were just being so good and so well behaved. Well, your mom was like a monkey. She was always climbing onto everything. Well, she decided to go down by the water. So here we go, following Aunt Jolene all the way down to the water. She takes off through the steps into Zilker Park, into Barton Creek, and first she went, and then I think our cousin Mitzi went, and then Lisa went through the steps. The water was rushing really fast. And I remember I took a step, and I almost slipped, and Aunt Lisa grabbed my hand, and she helped me. And if it wasn't for Aunt Lisa, I might have just gone in the water and could have drowned. But when our Aunt Bonnie found out what we did, boy, you wouldn't believe how much she wouldn't even talk to us. She was so mad at us because we could have all gotten hurt really bad. But that's one of the big stories that your mom did when we were kids. She was the instigator. She was always getting us into trouble. And I can remember too, I took up for a couple of times. Your grandma had these pink poodles in the back room, little puppy poodles that she had on the sink, and Aunt Jolene broke one, and I took the blame for it, so that she wouldn't get in trouble, so she wouldn't get a spanking. I didn't want my big sister to get a spanking, so I said I did it, but I didn't get a spanking. But really, your mom did it. She didn't fess up to it till a long time. Years later. Years. When we were older, when Grandma couldn't spank her no more. And she told the real story.
Great. This is my mom. Can you tell a few stories?
Well, I think I was telling you the other night, and Aunt Sandy told a little bit of how I was always the monkey in the family. And I was always climbing all over everything. And I was always the one getting hurt. So I have lots of scars everywhere from when I fell down and bumped myself everywhere. And I remember one time, Mamaw, Allie's grandma, and Allie's great grandma, my grandma, had an old house in Temple, Texas, and had a metal
Mama,
roof.
do the one.
And I climbed a chinaberry tree one time and got on the roof of the house, and I was walking around up there, and I thought I was really cool because I was walking around on top of the house and nobody knew it. But what I didn't realize is everybody in the house could hear me walking around on the roof, and they all came out, and I got in big trouble. And the next time we went to my Mamaw's house, my Uncle Roy David had cut all the limbs off the chinaberry tree, so I couldn't climb up there anymore. And then remember the other night I was telling Allie that her Aunt Lisa had never ever been to the hospital until she was a grown-up and married and had a baby. She had never been in the hospital before. So she was afraid to go to the hospital. And I was always at the hospital because I fell down one time and I was skating on the driveway and I fell down and bumped my head and I had to go to the emergency room. And another time I fell down and hurt myself. Oh, I hurt my eye. I wrecked my bike and I busted my eye open and it was all nasty and I had to go to the hospital. And then I remember this other time we were at Mount Bunnell in Austin, and my dad had taken us over there, and there was like 100 steps to the top of Mount Bunnell. So we climbed up to the top of Mount Bunnell, and it was me and your Aunt Sandy and your Aunt Lisa, and we were up there looking off in the view and everything. So we get ready to come back down, and my mom, your grandma wouldn't go to the top of Mount Bunnell because she was too scared because it was too high. So she was sitting in the car just waiting for us. So we started on the way back down from Mount Bunnell, and we were walking down the steps, and I looked back at Aunt Lisa, and I said, last one to the bottom's a rotten egg, and I took off running down the steps, and I was running so fast, I was beating her bad. And I was running and running, and all of a sudden, I missed a step, and then I just started sliding over all the top of the steps, going faster and faster and faster and faster. When I got to the bottom, there was gravel everywhere at the bottom, and I just slid on my tummy and on my knee down across the gravel, and I busted my knee open about this far, and my mom was just sitting there, and she was in shock, and so we had to drive straight to the hospital, and I had to get stitches in my knee, and they had to sew my knee up, and they had to take these tweezers and pull all these little rocks out of my knee. It was really gross, and it hurt. And so, yeah, I was always in the hospital in the emergency room growing up. And so I think that's why you're such a little monkey and you like to climb too. Because you're just like your mother. And that's not the only stories I can think of. Okay. Just hit the red button.